This is the land of prophets, the land where Abraham prayed, where Moses walked, where Jesus preached, and where Muhammad ascended to the heavens, a land sacred to billions. But how did it become a battlefield of endless wars and broken promises? This is the full story. Thousands of years, Palestine stood as the crossroads of civilization. Canaanites, Israelites, Romans, Byzantines, and Muslims lived upon its soil. Prophets turned its valleys into sanctuaries of prayer. For centuries, Muslims, Christians, and Jews shared its markets, its fields, and its sacred sites. Despite invasions and empires, Palestine remained a land of life and coexistence. In 1099, the Crusaders stormed Jerusalem. Blood filled its streets as tens of thousands were slaughtered. But just over a century later, Salahuddin Ayyubi, a Muslim warrior, restored the city and opened its gates to people of all faiths. Under the Muslim caliphates and later the Ottomans, Jerusalem became a place where churches and mosques could coexist. For 400 years, the Ottoman Empire governed Palestine. Farmers grew olives and oranges, merchants traded in bustling markets, and Jerusalem thrived as a city of peace. But in 1917, during the First World War, the empire collapsed. Britain marched in, and with them came betrayal. That same year, Britain issued the Balfour Declaration, promising a homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine without consulting the people who had lived there for centuries. Arabs had been promised independence if they supported Britain against the Ottomans. Instead, they were betrayed. This letter marked the beginning of a century of suffering. In the 1920s and 1930s, Jewish migration surged. Many came fleeing European persecution. But for Palestinians, the sudden influx meant land dispossession, rising tensions, and violent clashes. Villages burned, protests erupted, and fear spread across the Holy Land. When Hitler's war consumed Europe, 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust. The world was horrified. Yet instead of giving survivors refuge in Europe, the West turned its eyes to Palestine. Palestinians had no role in Europe's crimes, yet they were forced to pay the price. Their homeland was chosen as the solution to Europe's guilt. In 1947, the United Nations voted to partition Palestine, 55% of the land to Jews, who owned less than 7%, and 45% to Palestinians, who made up the vast majority. It was unjust, and Palestinians rejected it. But in 1948, Israel declared independence. What followed was Nakba, the catastrophe. Over 700,000 Palestinians were expelled from their homes. More than 500 villages were wiped from the map. Massacres like Deir Yassin struck terror into families, forcing them to flee. They carried keys to their homes, believing they would return in weeks. Decades later, they are still waiting. In June 1967, Israel fought Arab states and in just 6 days captured Gaza, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, Sinai, and the Golan Heights. Millions more Palestinians came under military occupation. Overnight, their lands were seized, their movement restricted, their future stolen. For the first time in history, Jerusalem was entirely under Israeli control. life for Palestinians became a struggle for survival. In the West Bank, walls and checkpoints turned daily life into imprisonment. Farmers were cut off from their fields. Families separated by concrete barriers. In Gaza, 2 million people live in what the UN calls the world's largest open-air prison, besieged by land, sea, and air. Electricity cut, food and medicine blocked, bombs falling year after year. But Palestinians did not remain silent. In 1987, the first intifada erupted. Children armed with stones stood against tanks. Their images shocked the world. In 2000, the second intifada broke out after Israeli leaders stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque. Violence escalated. Suicide bombings, assassinations, mass killings. Thousands of Palestinians killed, thousands more imprisoned. Their message was clear: we will not disappear. Gaza became a graveyard of wars. In 2002, the Jenin refugee camp was crushed. In 2008, Israel launched Operation Cast Lead, killing 1,400 people. In 2014, Operation Protective Edge left over 2,000 dead, many of them children. In 2018, peaceful protesters in Gaza demanding their right to return were shot by snipers. And in 2023, Gaza faced its deadliest bombardment in history. Tens of thousands killed, entire families erased, homes, schools, and hospitals reduced to rubble. And still, the world remains silent. Behind the numbers are human lives. An old man still clutches the rusted key to his home in Haifa, dreaming of return. Children in Gaza draw pictures of drones and bombs instead of flowers. Journalists like Shireen Abu Akleh, shot dead while wearing a press vest, silenced for telling the truth. Palestine is not just a political conflict. It is the story of survival, dignity, and identity. From prophets to empires, from betrayal to occupation, Palestine has carried the weight of history's darkest tragedies. Yet, despite 75 years of displacement and occupation, Palestinians continue to resist, to live, and to hope. Their message is clear: we will not leave. This is our land. The question is no longer about history, it is about the future. Will the world choose silence, or will the world choose justice?
On sacred ground covered in dust, children cry as the night turns to rest. The sky burns red, the earth shakes deep. Homes collapse and souls fall asleep. A mother holds a lifeless hand. A father stares, he cannot stand. Prayers fade on lips so dry. Hope is buried where echoes die. Cause the weeks the world is blind, deaf and mute to the tears we find. Genocide painted in the sky, while truth is silence, forced to die. Streets of shadows carved with pain, little steps searching light in vain. Yet the world turns its face away, as if those lives are thrown away. Cause the weeks the world is blind, deaf and mute to the tears we find. Genocide painted in the sky, while truth is silent.